Shechiyanu v'kimanu v'giyanu lazman hazeh. Thank you so much for everybody for coming out in the Erev Yom Tif. Incredibly to think that this is the third Siyum of Chazaka. Last year we were in this room, a beautiful, tremendous Siyum, Baruch Hashem, with Kollel Shmuel. This year we're here welcoming 13 other branches of Kollel Shmuel. A special thank you to Rabbi Sonnenschein from Cleveland, to Rabbi David Bronstein, Rabbi Kaufman from Waterbury coming in, Bells, Armin Vakshev, my dear brother-in-law Danny Kagan, Coventry, Tallymore, Walden Woods, Melissa Lee, Rabbi Turenshu, Morty Stiebel, Hampshire Hills, Bells, Jackson Pines. Absolutely incredible. Chazdei Hashem. I would just like to share with everybody one short story before we start the program. A couple of months ago, my father said over a beautiful story. A special thank you to my father and mother who are here tonight and joining us in the Siyum. My father said over a beautiful, short, powerful story. One time there was a contractor, a very successful contractor. And Baruch Hashem, he had many, many homes, and he had a main guy, Shimmy, who took care of everything. He was the person that did everything from A to Z. He was the one that was responsible for everything. It was basically Shimmy that did the entire job. Shimmy was there for many, many years. And after 30 years, he felt it was time for him to move on. So he came into his boss one day and he said, "Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the many years that we spent together, but I think it's time for me to kindly retire." The boss appreciated everything that Shimmy did for him. He said, "I wish you were here for longer, but I totally understand. You're here for many, many years. But just do me one favor. I ask you to please just build one final house. I have this person in my mind that he needs a top-notch house. Only you could do it. Please build this house, and then of course you go on your way." Shimmy couldn't say no. He said, "Of course, I have a karas hatayv." Anyways, the day that Shimmy started building the house, he was already 1 foot out the door. He was there for many years. It was time to go. So instead of usually, he made sure there were 10-foot ceilings. He put 7-foot ceilings. Instead of usually, he made sure there was, stucco or brick. He put in siding. And every step along the way, he was just trying to get by. Instead of the tiles, he did, I'm not sure. Instead of black windows, he did regular windows. And Shimmy kept going. And after 3 months, everything he did, he cut corners, he was trying to get by. And he told his boss, instead of the house should have taken a year, it took 3 months. And he said, "Boss, the house is done. Here's the keys." The boss took the keys from Shimmy and he said, "Shimmy, thank you for everything you did for me. Here is your house." Shimmy couldn't believe it. Here he was building his house, and he just did everything just to get by. And little did he know he was building his own house. So my father beautifully said how so many times in life, how we have mitzvahs from Hashem. Hashem tells us what to do. And we think that we're doing it for Hashem. We think we're doing it just for Hashem. We don't realize that we're building our own home. We're doing it for ourselves. We make the mistake, we think we're getting by, but Hashem's giving us the opportunity for ourselves. Every person sitting in this room here tonight, every man and woman, live by the facts that we know that we live and we do things for ourselves. Waking up 6 o'clock in the morning, morning after morning, it's not easy. Nobody's sitting, clapping, telling you you're great, telling you, cheering you on in the dark, cold cars when you're going. Yet here we are, we do it morning after morning. The women, nobody's telling them how great they are, giving up their entire morning themselves, telling the husbands to go out to learn. Because we understand that we're sitting here building our own homes. We're building our true, beautiful homes. And we're not going to go and cut corners. We're doing this for ourselves. Mitzvah, we should be zeicha to continue building our homes, the beautiful homes that we have, until we see Mashiach, until we build the ultimate home of Yerushalayim and of the Beis HaMikdash, Yerushalayim Heir V'Yameinu. Amen. At this time, I would like to, before I call up a beautiful bracha from the Rav, I would like to give tremendous hakaras hatov to the Rav, Rabbi Saratsky, who just finished a project of millions of dollars, just for one reason, that we can go and expand and keep going. He felt that in the morning people were wasting 3-4 minutes looking for a parking spot. He said, build a new parking lot. Just want to say, be aware to everybody near the Lutsk area, because Baruch Hashem, those parking lots are full. On behalf of the entire Kollel, I'd like to say to the Rav, thank you for everything. Hashem should bench the Rav, give kayachas until she's Mashiach to Kingdom Heir V'Yameinu. This time I'd like to everybody to pay attention to the video and to have divrei bracha from the Rav.
When we reflect back on the past few years of Kollel or Shmuel, there's a Gemara that comes to mind. And we started the Kollel, we were learning the Masechtas Megillah, and we all learned the Gemara and Daf Yudam Beis, Amar Rab Levi, Davar Zeh Mesoris Yibeadenu, Miaviseinu, Mokim Ha'oren Eina Min Amida. There's a Messiah that the place of the Oren is not counted in the measurements of the Beis HaMikdash, and that's because Torah is not something that can be confined. Torah is infinite. And I remember when we started the Kollel, we were thinking that how we're going to get together early in the morning, a group, maybe we'll get together a group of 10 people, Maishi and Fivish and Yechiel Rivlin were coming every day to try. There was a time that it was only Yechiel that was coming, but we thought, how are we going to get an oilam that's going to come together early in the morning to come and shtal avek a Kollel that should be an Eloi from the neshama of the heilige neshama of Shmuel, and to see the Kollel evolve into what it's become today is no chiddush, because when you're talking about Torah, Torah is not something that it's shaykh to be confined. You can't take the Torah and confine the Torah. Torah is infinite. The state that Torah is meruba me'eretz mida rechav min hayam. And when you do something l'shem shemayim, as this Kollel was built with no other ulterior motive, just to be marabik v'yitremayim, just to be marabik limud Torah, and that's the secret of the success of the Kollel. The Kollel is built on just Torah, and Torah is something which expounds without any limits, without any limitations. And there's another secret which my father had mentioned one time when he came over here and he spoke in the beginning when we started the Kollel, and he said that the Panavish Rav, when he was building Panavish, they made a Nachas Even Apina, and the Panavish Rav was so pent up with his emotions that he burst forth and he started crying. And the Chazon Ish was standing right next to him. The Chazon Ish said, Vei noch. You cry more. He said, because Hazoyrim bedima berina yikzoyru. When something's built on dima, something is built on tears and sorrow, you take those tears and you shtal it avek in the binyan, then the binyan has that tzlocha that's l'mala miderech hateva. So here's a binyan of Torah, which Torah we know has no boundaries, and it's built together with the Hazorim B'dima, that Moshe and his Rebbetzin, they took their Eigen Etzara, and they used it as a chetimtza to build Torah. So besides to the fact that we've seen such a tremendous growth in the shul, and no matter how many expansions we can have in the shul, and how big we can make the Beis Medrash, it's still not enough to accommodate Kollel or Shmuel. Today, Kollel or Shmuel is a household name around the world, whether you go to Cleveland, Ohio, or you go to Waterbury, or you go to Jackson, Tom's River, you go around Lakewood in different areas. There's Bati Midrashim, and everybody comes over there at 6 o'clock in the morning. You want to know what's going on over here. Kollel or Shmuel. This is the koyach of the Heilige Neshama of Shmuel, the koyach of the Mesiras Nefesh of Moshe and his Rebbetzin, the koyach of the Mesiras Nefesh of all the Chavri HaKollel that come up, they get up early every single morning, and their wives who make sure that their husbands encourage their husbands and let their husbands come to learn early in the morning, even when the times are tough. That Mesiras Nefesh is something that we see the fruition, we see the fruits of our labor every single day as the Kollel expands, and it has become what it has become today, something which is not shaykh to imagine the growth that this Kollel will have, that tzlocha that the Kollel will have. Wherever anyone from the Kollel, they move out and they go to a different area, they want to have Kollel or Shmuel, it becomes a part and parcel of them, and they can't exist without it. And they go and make another branch of Kollel or Shmuel. Now already, B'li Ayin Hora, there's 14 branches of Kollel or Shmuel, but that's just the beginning. You're going to see how Kollel or Shmuel goes Michayel al Choyel, and the schus of the riboy of Torah, the riboy of Kvod Shemayim, will all be zeicha to be mishtatif in Kollel or Shmuel in Yerushalayim HaKodesh v'Meheira.
תשלח ברוחו והצלוחו בכל מסע יודעני ויהיו חיים פרנסו סייני מידך ורחובו ויהבה מלאבה ולא יצטרכי עמך בייס ישראל זה לזה ובלוי לימה וחי ובסי לכל איש ואיש די פרנסו לכל גביו וגביו תתניו דבר מחסוירו ישמעי וסוכי שלב בגוריים ובשים לבייס מקדושייני מוי וספרתייני מוי יוי 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 וסחיס שלא ישזר וספו של רחמים אקסמי ובסוי ירוס לבחו Oy besifataini Oy yo 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 yes shloy shesra Oy do ise khosher rach סבבכו כמו שנאמר הוי השם השם הוא יקרא אל רבחים וחמים אוי 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 אליך פיים ורבכי יסד ויבס אוי יום היי הוא אמוי ציר חסד אלו ועלו ומופים אינוי סיום אוי מופשע וחתום ומובנחקאי
we'd like to ask everybody, it's a beautiful, beautiful video presentation of how Kollel Shmuel went from one Kollel and Baruch Hashem, Blian Hara, to where it is now with 14 branches. I'd like to also just give a mention to one special individual who had a vision, who sat me down and he said, Faivish, the same way we have this here in Beis Medrash Lutsk, we have to have this all over the world. Special thing, this is one I'm saying his name, but special thank you to Rabbi Binyamin Mandelbaum for taking this and making it. Hashem should give you tremendous bracha, he bench you with tremendous mazel, and only nachas for your beautiful family.
As I think back to 3 years ago, getting up from Shiva, after losing my precious Shmuel, calling my friend Faivish and asking him to help start a kollel, the few courageous people that said they can get up at 6 a.m. to learn was something that Karas HaTov, there's no words to say thank you to those people and to the Rabbeinu Shleilam.
The Hatzlacha of Kollel Shmuel is our Shmuel, the light of Shmuel Galus. That his parents, Moshe and Batsheva, were able to go at the most difficult time when nobody should be tested of what they were tested, and to get it from Shiva and say, we're going to establish a kollel, Nishmas their son Shmuel. We can't even begin to describe the neshama that it is of Shmuel Galus.
Coming to our Shmuel, in the beginning, when it first opened up, there were, I think it was 8 guys. I had me and my chavrusa Avram Moshe Ribiat. We took up the right corner of the Beis Medrash. It wasn't so lonely, but we didn't have that loud of a noise when you walked in.
It started a small corner in the front, which spread and spread and spread. We had a very special friend of ours, Binyamin Mandelbaum, that brought in the Daf Yomi Chabur over there. And one day we realized there was no more room and we had to expand. The Rav did everything possible to make that happen. And today, we're moving into a Beis Medrash that's double the size.
I've been driving it every morning to Lutsk, and I sing thank you Hashem, because every morning it makes no sense. Everybody's exhausted. It's so much easier to push snooze and to have hundreds of people waking up morning after morning after morning. So of course it's unbelievable thank you Hashem. Baruch Hashem, we're lucky enough to have the kollel in Beis Medrash Lutsk. A Beis Medrash that's open to everybody. Such chesed. Everybody that walks in the door, it's such warmth, led by the Rav that took the kollel and made it part of his family. Everything that was necessary, from A to Z, gave over the warmth of that's welcome everybody, exactly what Lutsk is. And we were lucky enough to establish this kollel in the Beis Medrash.
If so many people could come learn from all the neighborhoods in the area, why can't we do this in other communities? And it's something that the Rebbeinu Shalom put into my heart to reach out to other people to see if that can happen.
So I'm sitting in Mayor Birnbaum's office one Friday, and in walks Moshe Galus. And Moshe turns to me and says, how about we start a kollel in your shul? I'm thinking 6:15 in the morning, it's early, but out of the blue, a few days later, I bump into Moshe Schindler, and Moshe tells me, starts talking to me about the kollel, it's unbelievable, open in Tallimore, and in Raintree, and what impact it's having. So, having seen that, decided we have to go ahead with it, and Taka, it's mamish, Kiddush Hashem, Nifla, unbelievable. Elm comes 6:15 in the morning, the Kol Torah, it's half of a fella.
Really all began, I used to see videos time from time, Kollel Shmuel, the first branch in Lutsk, and just watching those videos, it was truly inspiring. I approached Moshe at a Vart, and I ran the idea by him. I said, Coventry, this is where you lived, everyone knows you, there's no reason why we can't open a branch. What do you think? Moshe liked the idea. He put me in touch with Faivish Waxman. Literally every single thing, A to Z, they helped me, walk me through, and Baruch Hashem, we were zeicha to have a kollel in Coventry for about a year now. Just to be able to see Shmuel and to know him on a personal level, what used to radiate from him was that Simchas HaChaim, and coming from his parents that would imbue and instill the Simchas HaChaim in him, and to be able to see that b'poil and a kollel, that every single day you have such achdus and a Simchas HaChaim from everybody learning together, is truly remarkable and inspiring. And I moved out to a new neighborhood in Hampshire Hills, Bridal neighborhood. We started a new kollel over there. Baruch Hashem, it's also took off. We already have 15 members. And there's no greater satisfaction
then be able to look back at that.
The Kol Torah and the energy, when you walk into the Talimor Beis Medrash, you walk into the energy that's there, you can touch it. That's how powerful it is. And we have a beautiful Kehila, and Moshe lives by us. We're Zoicha to have Moshe live by us. There's a schus, and if you look back, the story with Shmuel happened a week or two after he moved into Talimor. You see how the Rebbeinu Shalom runs the world. He came to Talimor, the Kollel spread, Talimor is now part of it. It's a beautiful thing that's going on in the world, Baruch Hashem.
The Kollelim started more and more Bote Midrashes. In Am by itself, if you ask me, is the Poshet Kinas Soifrim Tarbe Chochme. I feel bad. Why in my Beis Medrash? Why Balebatim, Erlach Gute Balebatim? Why did they don't have the opportunity to start the day in the same way? My son Elimelech is the person who take care. Call Fivish in Eskem and advise every single shayle, because I say to my son, they have an experience, they know what to doing, try to copy. That's it. No chidushim. You can see people what they change. The way is anders, the tefillah is anders. In the Siyata D'Shmaya, in Parnose, Belia in Hora, is very clear. Is Torah. People come together even after they have a breakfast. Ahavas Reim, sit together, you have time to your friend, you're not very busy, you start the way in the right way. I wish as the Koyach HaTorah from the Yisoid from the Mlutzka Beis Medrash, Be'ezer Hashem, Bechol Mekoymois Moishvoiseim Shel Bnei Yisrael. This is the Vet Zayin, this is Zayin the Ruach from every Elach Balabos. To wake up in the morning early, to learn Torah, to daven, to go to the Inyone Amichya Ve'akalkola, and have a lot of tzloch in the whole business. Be'ezer Hashem.
The Waterbury Shtibel was looking to bring in some sort of a kollel, and somebody had suggested this kollel or Shmuel in Lakewood that seems to be very matzliach. Maybe we should look into it. Right after that, Shimshi Brescher got a phone call from a close friend of his, Mati Gellis, and Mati suggested, let's do this. And Shimshi said, okay, let's give it a try. And give it a try they did.
Fivish Waxman's passion for Torah is contagious. So contagious that we caught it here in the Waterbury community. It started with one kollel or Shmuel, and now every shul in Waterbury has a morning kollel. Those who are learning in the kollel have a new energy throughout their entire day, both in their learning, their tefillah, and even their family life.
It goes without saying that this is not a kollel that belongs to Waterbury. It's also not a kollel that Lakewood feels belongs to Lakewood. This was something done with a vision of Klal Yisrael. And I could tell you, just from schmoozing with people, everybody wants to join.
Kollel or Shmuel is a very unique kollel. The foundation is built on people who are not in yeshiva. When I was living in Lakewood and I was working and I was traveling, it was the foundation of my whole day. When I came here, I felt like it was a void, something was lacking.
So Yisrael Kappenstein came to me and asked me, he's like, David, you want to start this morning kollel that they have in Lakewood? And I'm like, what, kollel or Shmuel? He's like, yeah. I said, it's not for me. Like, it's no way I'm waking up early in the morning. When I was living in Lakewood, people approached me about it. I'm not a morning person. It's not happening. Everyone knows that this past year, the community in Cleveland got hit very hard with the Meron tragedy. It was something that hit home. And I was being with Menachem Aval, the Cohn family, and I'm sitting there in the back, and I didn't know Yossi Cohn. I didn't know the Cohns at all. And it was something that I felt when I walked out that, what am I going to do? What are we going to do as a community? What are we going to do that's going to be different, that's going to change from our day-to-day? And I was thinking of myself, like, what could I do? And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I'm not a morning guy, but I'm going to become a morning guy. I called Yisrael, and I said, Yisrael, let's go. We're doing this. That Shabbos, I went around in Shul. I started asking guys, hey, you want to come join a morning kollel? And before you know it, we had a few guys that said they wanted to start. I called up Rabbi Sonnenschein.
By the time Shabbos was over, and actually I think this was Sunday afternoon, he came over to me and he said, suppose we have 45, 50 guys signed up. I could not believe it. Said that there's no way, we've never had anything like that. I don't know who you're talking to over here, but there not going to be no 45, 50 guys coming to learn in the morning, it's never happened. Within a couple of days, this was right before Shavuos, we had a grand opening, 40 people showed up in the morning, we had a big breakfast to start. This was a completely different level, nothing that the community over here in Cleveland has ever seen. The whole Lutsk idea, which I was not familiar with, which David Meisels, with his fire, was able to bring over here to Cleveland.
We went down there for one night. They had a Siyum next morning in the Kollel. It's incredible to see how people are taking this exact formula of just Shmuel and Neshama, of the warmth of everybody. You come, you start your day in the morning, you learn, you daven, you come home, you're smiling, you give danishes to your children. Your entire day is full of bracha.
Once I met Fivish and Maishi, you can tell where this is all starting from. I mean, the fire, the passion, the warmth, the excitement is contagious. And we feel it over here, and the credit, from what I see, is all theirs. And what David Meisels has been able to start over here is unlike anything we've seen, unlike anything the community has seen in the morning. Then it's not just the learning, it's not just the people coming and enjoying and the learning and the donuts afterwards and the coffee, which David Meisel sits there every single night, no matter what time it is, setting up all that coffee, 4 different types, the Shmuel special blend. Everyone's excited, everyone's into it, and the chaverschaft that everyone feels, I think, is a game changer for the community.
I speak to some people and they tell me, how can I do this in my community? And I tell them, every person that's sitting there in the base medrash had that same question. But what they did was, they said, Rabbeinu Shalom, I want to do that. And that wanting, that ratzin, brought them to the next level. Without each and every one of you, there is no Kollel Shmuel.
What Kollel Shmuel means to me, well, it's a bunch of multitudes of people getting together to start their day better. And it's a battle. It's a Mechemes mitzvah, and we have tremendous Siyata D'Shmaya, and everyone gets up with the singular task of learning. And it's just unbelievable by 8 o'clock in the morning feeling that you had an accomplished day already, and there's only more to come.
Everyone comes in there, everyone's accepting, everyone just comes there, everyone feels together. You feel comfortably here. So it's a really great place to start your day, and it gives tzlacha to the rest of the day.
You walk in and the roar of Torah really just hits you as soon as you walk in. Even the breakfast that you have over here, it's kind of remarkable that there's a place like this right in Lakewood.
The amount of light and what it does to my day is truly incredible.
It's a very special way to wake up in the morning and learning together with this tremendous brand and geschmack with hundreds of people.
My day has changed, my family's life has changed. Everyone sees the most important thing is starting off their day on the right foot.
There's also an incredible feeling of camaraderie, of achdus, everyone's together and cares about each other.
I just joined the Kollel very recently, and it's already changed my life amazingly. I have tremendous hakaras tov to Zalman and Fivish. They just took me in, and so much support. It's just unbelievable.
Coming here and seeing a full parking lot, now 2 full parking lots with hundreds of cars and hundreds of people learning, it's as if it's the middle of First Seder.
Usually when you want to go learn, there's like a resistance, something holds you back. When it comes to the morning Kollel Shmuel, just the opposite. There's like an energy, there's like a fire under me. Every morning that wants to run to shul and be there with my friends, with my beloved Rav.
Before this, I was in bed. I couldn't get out of bed. I was living in pain, and this did something unbelievable. I saw the video of the little boy. I said, I have to come join. When I came in, to hear the roaring of Torah, to me was unbelievable. And I have tiskul misses to the Rav, and Moshe Gelis, and everyone for giving me the opportunity of doing this.
The sense of togetherness that flows in this Kollel is something that you will never see anywhere else. And that gives me a purpose, gives me strength, and inspires me.
There's no better way to starting your morning at Kollel Shmuel. It just gets your day started. It gets your energy, blood flowing. You're ready to start your day. I always say breakfast is the best meal to have. Kollel Shmuel is the best breakfast to have. It just gives you the energy to keep going.
From the day I went to work, this is what kept me grounded and attached to Torah. I don't know where I'll be without this.
Thank you, Moshe, for being on top of this beautiful Kollel in Tallimore. It brings everyone in the community together at 6 o'clock in the morning, where everyone steigs away.
The amount of chizuk that it gives the entire community, having 50, 60 guys come 6 o'clock in the morning,
and learn and start their day off with Torah. It's unbelievable how it's a chizuk for myself, it's a chizuk for the entire olam.
You can see the siyata d'shmaya brings to my day every day when I get up early to learn.
To start my day off the right way, it changes everything. Starts the day off on the right foot and changes the whole atmosphere of the rest of the day.
Kollel Shmuel is amazing Kiddush Hashem. It's a beautiful thing that everybody comes out so early in the morning.
Every person who walks through these doors is exposed to Kol Torah, and each person adds to the Kol Torah.
I walked into Lutsk one morning. I was actually coming to check out Kinyan Masechta, and I was absolutely blown. If you're not part of it, come join. Check out Kollel Shmuel just one morning, and you'll be hooked.
One of the biggest Rosh Kollels today is Hayeled Oliver Shalom Shmuel Gelis. If he would have lived over 100 years, he wouldn't have been able to put together such a Kollel. Look what Hashem did. Hashem took him 4 years of his life, brought him down, and he was able to accomplish what people don't accomplish in more than one lifespan. Look what he did. Look what's going on over here. If somebody would have to run around to Kollel him and try to get people to get up in the morning to learn, it wouldn't work. 4 years somebody came down to this world. He had a special neshama, special family. That's what gave it our Shmuel. It's amazing.
We have a tremendous thanks to Moshe and Batsheva for starting this Kollel, for taking a time of tragedy and giving us all an opportunity that we have changed our lives. We changed our days. We changed our children, our wives, ourselves. We're all different people because we start our day in Kollel Shmuel.
My dream and my vision is that each Kehillah and Klal Yisrael should have a Kollel Shmuel, and I believe everybody could have it. And I have no doubt that the Torah, the Chesed, the Achdus that goes through Kollel Shmuel is something that's going to bring the Geula. And the Rebbeinu Shalom should give us the Siyata D'Shmaya, this coming year, to have Kollel Shmuel in the entire Klal Yisrael in Yerushalayim Yer HaKodesh and Heiv Yameinu.
You might not know the person there behind you, but you're part of Kollel Shmuel, and you know you're part of a special family.
Hoidel Hashem Kitayv Kiliolam Chazdai. Hakaras HaTayv we have for the Rebbeinu Shalom tonight. We look around the room, what a Kiddush Hashem it is to sit with hundreds and hundreds of people that get up Ashmiras HaBoker to be Makasha with the Rebbeinu Shalom. Each and every person in this room makes the Kollel Shmuel what it is. Every person that helps support the Kollel is a partner in that Torah. We thank everybody for coming tonight, the Kollel family and friends. As well, we would like to thank Moshe and Mrs. Steele for putting together this most beautiful, beautiful event tonight. Mr. and Mrs. Skast for putting together the beautiful audio and video. Of course, to my Ishes Chayil Batsheva for always being a backbone of this Kollel. May the Rebbeinu Shalom bench each and every one of us who come to the Yom Neiroim with a Gemar Chasima Tova, good gebenched yar, in every single aspect of our lives. Before we say a few kapitals of Tehillim, there's one person that deserves Hakaras HaTayv. There's no words of thank you to that person. Feivish Waxman and his Rebbitzin. for 24/7, 365 days a year, being Isaac in the Kollel, morning after morning, night after night. It does not leave his mind, and he does everything possible to make this happen. And of course, our Rav Shlita, Reb Zalman, should be gebenched, does everything possible in every way to bring that simcha into the Kollel. A bracha for Feivish and his wife. There's nothing we could give him to say thank you. But if everybody could answer amen, the Rebbeinu Shalom should bench Feivish, his wife, with Siyata D'Shmaya, L'malim Miderech HaTeva, something they've never seen. And of course, the biggest bracha, V'setzaenu, V'setzoi, Amcha Beis Yisrael, Feivish, his children, L'doirei Doiros, should have the schus to carry on in the way Feivish does, the Simchas HaChayim, what he does for all the Yidden. And Eretz Hashem, the Rebbeinu Shalom is going to bench him with bracha ad v'lidai. A Siyum is an Eis Rotzain, and a Siyum like this, where the Olam comes together when the whole world is sleeping, and everybody comes to learn the Heilige Torah, the Rischa D'Oraisa. There's no words to say, and the Rebbeinu Shalom knows the tefillas of us, of every single person over here, is so powerful. Of course, when we say Kapitel Tehillim, we should have everybody in mind. We should only simchas this year in our Kollel, in Klal Yisrael. The Noam Elimelech brings down the greatest form of tefillah is to daven for the Shechina. B'tzarosam loitzar. Every Yid that goes through a tzara, the Rebbeinu Shalom feels that pain. And when we daven for the Shechina Akdaisha, the Golos HaShechina, we're davening for everybody. So if we could all stop for a moment, we'll say to Kapitlach, B'omke de Liba and Eretz Hashem, the schos for the Tehillim from the Olam over here, we're going to be Zeicha to a full Geula Shalema this year, Meher of Yameinu. Shir Amaloi, Sasoina Yalor, Me'ayin Yavo Yazri. Ezri meyem Adonai, Yosei Shemayim Voret. Al yitei namoy taglecha, al yonom shoimrecha. Hinei lo yonom v'lo yishon shomei Yisrael. Adonai shoimrecha, Adonai tzilcha yad yiminecha. Yoim Hashemesh lo yakek av yoreach baloylo. Adonai yishmorcha mikora yishmor es nafshecha. Adonai yishmor tzeischa v'yecha mi'atov yad olam. Shira malois mimamakim kirosicha Adonai. Adonai shema b'koili ti'anoz necha shuvos l'kol tachanunai. Im avoynoi tishmaya Adonai mi yamoid. Ki mecha aslicha leman tivarei. Ki visi Adonai kivsa nafshi v'dvarei yicholti. Nafshi l'Adonai mishorim l'haboiker shomerim l'haboiker. Yachel Yisrael el Adonai ki Adonai achesed v'yavim moifedos. V'hu yiftes Yisrael mikol avoynoisam. Acheinu kol beit Yisrael anesunim b'atzara v'ashivyoim v'veim v'yam v'veim v'yavash ha'mokim rachim aleim v'yitzim mitzar l'irvacha v'afil yoyro v'shiv l'giyula ashto b'agol zman k'riv neymar amen.
We ask if the Olam could please stay standing. We have over here the Chazan from Eretz Yisrael, Yisrael Adler, who's going to be saying Akel Malei Rachamim. Shekoyach Rabbi Yisrael. Rabbi said, when Fivish asked me about making a Siyum 3 days before Yom Kippur, if it's an appropriate time to make a Siyum, I told Fivish I couldn't find a more appropriate time than 3 days before Yom Kippur. Be'emes, Yom Kippurim is the day of Kabbalah Satayra, of the Luchas Shniyos. And Be'emes, the Siyum HaTorah should be on Yom Kippurim. There's no greater way to prepare for Yom Kippurim with a chizik in Liman HaTorah. We have 3 days of Kollel left before Yom Kippur. If every single person in this room could be mekabel on themselves that the next 3 days to come on time to the Kollel would be a tremendous chizik, the schus that we would have going into Yom Kippurim, the chizik of Torah, it's worth every penny to the whole Siyum. The chizik HaTorah that we'll have over the next 3 days going, there's no greater way to prepare ourselves for Yom Kippurim. We ask if the Olam could please be quiet as we make the Siyum. Rabbi Sai, the Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Acha bar Aviva, in the end of Rosh Hashanah, Amar Rab Shimon Chassid, the Poitoyer Rab Gamliel Afil Am Shebesadis, that Rab Gamliel said that he would patter up even the Am Shebesadis, V'loi Boi Hani the Kaima Acha, and not only the Am Shebesadis, but even those that are standing over here. Adar Rabba Hani Anisi, Hani Loi Anisi. The Gemara says, Adar Rabba, the ones that are besadis, they're anusim, but the ones that are here are not anusim. Tani Rabba bar Breder Abiyam and Bachia, Am Shachoye Kahanim Menim Achlal Bracha, the people that are not in front of the Kahanim B'Shas when the Kahanim to Birchas Koyen and Manap Achlal the Bracha. Al Kiyas Rav and Am Rab Yaakov Aridi, Am Rab Shimon Chassid Loi Potter Gamliel, Ela Am Shebesadis. Rab Gamliel wasn't Poiter, only the Am Shebesadis. My time Mishum Danisim Malacha, because their honest for Malacha will be ear loy, those that are be ear, that they're not anisim, and they're able to daven, they're not potter. Hadin Allah Yamtiv, is Salikallah, Mesechtes Rosh Hashanah. Now we ask Rabbi Kaufman to please come up and be Messiah, Mesechtes Chagiga, and say the Hadron. Mesechtes Tainis and say the Hadron.
Before I finish and say the Hadron, in the name of all those in Waterbury, Connecticut, who are zeichet to be on the hashpah of the Olam over here, I'd like to say that distance, physical distance, we are 3 hours away. But in Ruchnius, in our spiritual closeness to all of you, we are aduk v'davak to everybody learning over here. And we appreciate that Chevra Shaf and that Achdus. The Gemara in Tainis says, Amar Ula b'yir, Amar Rebbe Elazar, Asir HaKadosh Baruch Hu lassos machol and tzaddikim. Eventually HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to make a circle for all the tzaddikim, who yoshev b'neihem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu be amongst them b'Gan Eden, v'chol echad.
Rabbi Sai covered Torah. Just another few minutes. If everyone could please remain quiet for the duration of the Siyum.
And everybody of that circle is going to point with his finger. And we said that day, this is our HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Elokenu's Midas Hadin. Kivinu Lai. We placed our hopes in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, our aspirations in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that it should be a geula. We're sitting in Golis, v'yoshienu, and he's going to have a salvation. And then after that, Yeshua, we're going to say Zeh Hashem, the Midas Harachmim, Zeh Hashem kivinu lai. We placed our hope in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And now that we have the Yeshua, Nagila v'nismecha b'Yeshuasai. And every time you have a Siyum, and there's a machal, and there's a dancing around, and everybody ba'achtas, that is a me'ain of this pasuk of Zeh Hayoim, sorry, Nagila v'nismecha b'Yeshuasai. Hajan alach b'shlosha prakim, uslika la b'seches tainus. Hajan alach b'seches tainus, b'Rosh Hashanah, v'hadra chalon. Daita alach b'seches tainus b'seches Rosh Hashanah, v'daita chalon. Lo nisnashon minach b'seches tainus b'seches Rosh Hashanah, lo nisnashim minon. Lo ba'alma hadein, lo ba'alma da'asi. Hajan alach b'seches tainus b'seches Rosh Hashanah, v'hadra chalon. Daita alach b'seches tainus b'seches Rosh Hashanah, v'daita chalon. Lo nisnashim minach b'seches tainus b'seches Rosh Hashanah, lo nisnashim minon. Lo ma'alma hadein, lo ba'alma da'asi. Hajan alach b'seches tainus b'seches Rosh Hashanah, v'hadra chalon. Daita alach b'seches tainus b'seches Rosh Hashanah, v'daita chalon. Lo nisnashim minach b'seches tainus b'seches Rosh Hashanah, lo nisnashim minon. Lo ma'alma hadein, lo ma'alma da'asi. Yirotzam l'fanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'lehei avosenu, shetehei torascha u'munasenu b'olam hazeh, u'sehei imanu l'olam haba. Chanina bar Papa, Rami bar Papa, Nachman bar Papa, Achai bar Papa, Abba Mari bar Papa, Rafa bar Papa, Rachish bar Papa, Morcha bar Papa, Ado ben Park bar Papa, Dor bar Papa. V'harevna Adonai Eloheinu es divrei soroscha b'finu, v'fios amcha beis Yisrael, v'niya kulanu, anachnu v'tzeseinu v'tzesei amcha beis Yisrael, kulanu yoidei shemecha v'lom dei sorosecha, me'ayvayte chakmin mitzvosecha, ki lo'elam hili, libi t'amim b'chukecha l'man lo evash, lo'elam lo eshkach b'chudecha, ki vam chi yisoni, baruch ato Adonai, lamdeini chukecha, amen, 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 sel v'ed. Moidim anachnu l'fanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'lehei avosenu, shesamta chalkeinu miyoshvei beis hamedrash, lo samta chalkeinu miyoshvei kronos. She'anu mashkimu v'heim mashkimu. Anu mashkimu l'divrei Torah. V'heim mashkimu l'divrorim b'telim. Anu amelu v'heim amelu. Anu amelu m'kavlu socha. V'heim amelu v'einu m'kavlu socha. Anu rotzim v'heim rotzim. Anu rotzim l'chai olam haba. V'heim rotzim v'shachas. Shenerma v'ata Elohim toridenu v'shachas. Anshe domu mirma lo yechsu yimeim. V'ani eftach bach. Yirotzim v'decha Adonai Eloheinu Elohai. Kishem shezatanu l'sayim meseches tainus u'meseches Rosh Hashanah. Kein tazreinu lahaska meseches u'svarim acherim u'saimam. Vilmod olam edish v'lasos l'kayim eskol divrei Talmud Torasech b'yava. U'zechus kol atanoim v'amoroim v'salmidei chachamim yamad lanu l'zareinu shlo yomo shatayru mefinu v'fi zareinu v'zera zareinu ad olam. V'tiskayim banu b'salecha tancha oisach v'shachmecha tishma lecha v'kisoisa hisisisecha kivi yebu yamecha v'yosiv l'chosh nos chayim orech yomim b'yimino b'smoila oisha v'chavoid Adonai oiz la'amo yitein Adonai yivarech es hamo v'shalom.
Yiskadal v'yiskadal shmei rabo v'yolmodu osid l'yiskadaso l'chayo meisayo ולעסוקו יסוין לחיי עולמו ולמבני כתו דיושלם ולשחלו לו היכלי בגבו ולמקר פולחונו נוחרו מנערו ולסבו ולעשבו פולחונו דשמעו לעשרי וימלך קודשו בריחו במלכוסי ביקורי בחיי חוין ובימי חוין ובחיי דכל בייס ישראל בעגלו בזמן קריב אמרו אמן יהי שמי רבו מברך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיו Yisbarach v'yishtabach v'yispar v'yisremam v'yisnasei v'yisador v'yisalev v'yisalol shmei dekutsho brichu leilo uleilo mikol birchaso v'shiraso tush b'chaso v'nechemaso damiron b'yolmo v'imru amen Al Yisrael v'al Rabbanon v'al Talmidei Hoin v'al kol Talmidei Salmidei Hoin v'al kol mondo oskin b'yraisa diva asra hodein v'diva chol asar v'asar Yehei lohoinu lohoin shlom rabo, chino v'chista v'rachamin, v'chayin arichin umzoyin revichei, ufurkana mikodam abuhoin v'shmaya v'arav imru amen. Yehei shlom rabo min shemaya, v'chayin toivim aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oiseh shalom v'imremo, v'yaseh shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Shmuel and gentlemen, please take your seats. The main business is
Tremendous chus that we have, the Rosh Hashiva, Hagoyin Rabbi Yitzchak Siratzkin, say Divrei Bracha on behalf of this unbelievable simcha. Shh. We ask everybody to please, please, please.
Kvoid, de Chosheve, More de Asre, von Mois des Lutsk, mein Teier Sohn, Rav Zalman Shlita, and Yedidenu Hayokor, Yedid Hashem, the Moshe Gelis, who spearheaded all these koilelim that we see here tonight, 14 koilelim, and I told my son, the Rambam in his monumental work made Yad HaChazokeh. He made 14 Svorim, and they're known as the Yad HaChazokeh. And my son immediately told me the gematria of Chazokeh is 120. And we're planning to continue and Emirtz Hashem to establish 120 koilim Kain Yirbu. Today, we are celebrating an unusual Siyum. The Gemara tells us in Masechta Shabbos that Abaye, when one Talmid was Zoicha to be Messiah a Masechta, he made a yontif with a lavish Suda for the whole yeshiva. You can imagine how great the Simcha is when hundreds and hundreds of Messiahim are here tonight. It's a Mishunadika Simcha. This is a yontif of Simchas Torah. The Beis Halevi explains Simchas Torah means not only we are celebrating our Simcha, but it's the Torah itself that is happy. And when the Torah and Kollel Yisrael are happy, Chazal tell us the Ribono Shel Olam is also joining the Simcha. So there's no question that the Ribono Shel Olam is here tonight with us, celebrating with everybody this Gewaltige Simchas HaTorah. I want to bring out something unique about this Siyum, about this Simcha. You know, we know that all the brachas come from learning Torah. The Torah in Parshas Bechukoisai, which talks about Limud HaTorah, Amal HaTorah, and the Torah brings out that through learning Torah, you're zoichet to all the brachas. We're zoichet to Sholem in Eretz Yisrael. My Zayda, the Lutzkerov, Ben Gurion came to him and he told him he wants him to tell all the yeshivas that they should go to join the army. And he told him, Ben Gurion, the more Torah, we won't need an army, because the Torah promises us, in Bechukoisei Telechu, you will have peace and Sholem. But the Torah tells us, in case we do have to go to battle, 5 people will win against 100 enemies, and 100 soldiers against 10,000 soldiers. And the number doesn't seem to stim. 5 chases 100, it means 20 times as much. And if I say 100 can run after 10,000 enemies, that means that each one could run after 100 enemies.
So Chazal tell us, Ein adoime, mirubi ma'oisin es ha-Torah, lemuati ma'oisin es ha-Torah. And the Lutzkerov explains this from Ishver, my Elter Zayder, Reblazer Gordon. And he explained that when two people make up a Chavrusashaft early in the morning, each person who comes to that Seder has two mitzvahs. He has a mitzvah of Limud HaTorah for himself, and he has a part in the Limud HaTorah of his Chaver. Because if he wouldn't come one day, then the Chavusaship will dissipate. It will get weak. And each one helps the other by coming. And he explains that when 10 people learn together, then each person has 10 mitzvahs. Your own mitzvah, and the fact that you give a chizuk and you're goyrim 10 other people to learn Torah. And when there's a group of 100, so then every person has 100 mitzvahs. Every individual that comes to the Rabbim has a chelek in 100 limud HaTorah. So when you have 100 people learning together, it's as if each one is 100 mitzvahs, and therefore they could come and conquer 10,000 enemies. Each one has a power of 100. So you can imagine the greatness when hundreds of Talmidim get together, hundreds of Loimdei Torah get together. How great the schos, how big the Chelek HaTorah of each and every one of you is. And when you come in an early time in the day when it's difficult and people are doing above and beyond, they have a tremendous schos of Simchas HaTorah, a tremendous schos in this gewaltige Koyach HaRabim of Torah. You know, the Yam Shloime questions, why at a Siyum we don't say Hasimcha b'moinoi? We know that by a Chasana and a Pidyon Haben we say Hasimcha b'moinoi. And he would think there's no greater Simcha than Simchas HaTorah. So if there's no greater Simcha than Simchas HaTorah, so that's the place that we should certainly say Sha'simcha b'moinoi. And I believe the reason we don't say Ha'simcha b'moinoi is Simcha b'moinoi means the Simcha is in Shemayim. There's a rakia that's called Mo'oin. And what that means is when you do a mitzvah, the mitzvah is not done for Simcha. We know there's a Kollel mitzvahs lav lehenes nitnu. But Torah is the one mitzvah that was given for enjoyment and for pleasure. Pikudei Hashem Yeshorim Misamchi Leiv. When you learn Torah, there's no greater happiness that a person can achieve only from learning Torah. So we can't say Hasimcha b'moinoi because the Simcha is here. Everybody who learns Torah feels such an elation, such a happiness. And I saw it to my own eyes coming into the Beis Medrash. Early in the morning, you could see the tremendous Simcha that everybody has from learning Torah. The Simcha is unbelievable. This is the real Simcha Shel Mitzvah, the Simcha of Torah. Harav Bengis, Zichroino Levocha, was one of the biggest Messiahim in the last Dairis. And he questioned, why don't we make the Simcha before we begin? And why do we wait to make the Simcha after we finish the Masechta? It would seem like we're making a happiness that we got it over with. It would seem to be more appropriate to make the Simcha before we begin. And the answer is the Iker Simcha Siyum is not for what we completed, but rather this is going to be an impetus for us to continue on to learn another Masechta. Like in the Hadran we say, Kishem Shavzartani, L'sayim Masechta Zu, Kein Tazreini L'sayim Masechta Acheres, and Svorim Acheri. So the Simcha is not just for finishing the Masechta, but for the fact that we're going to continue on for more Masechtas. And the Kloisenberger Rebbe once questioned, a person can learn 150 blot in Baba Basra, and he doesn't make a Siyum, he doesn't make a Simcha, and a person could finish a small Masechta, and he makes a Siyum. And he explains that when a person learns 150 dafim, he has nothing to give him the drive to continue to learn again farther. But when you finish a Masechta, you get a Malach. And the Malach is going to give you the push and the koyach to continue from one Masechta to another Masechta. So the Simcha, when we finish a Masechta, is that we're going to continue from one Masechta to another Masechta. That is the Ikar Simcha. You know, I want to conclude with a Toned Ve'Eliyahu. The Toned Ve'Eliyahu says that Moshiach is not going to come only b'schus HaTorah. And the Toned Ve'Eliyahu says, when 10 people get together and learn b'chabura, they have a koyach to bring Moshiach. But there's something interesting about the Toned Ve'Eliyahu. The Toned Ve'Eliyahu says, when the chabura learns with a kol rom, when they learn the koilam nishma, when they learn with a loud koil, then that Torah is chaviv by the Ribono Shel Olam. When there's excitement in the learning, that's what can bring Moshiach. I have to say that the first time I walked into the Kollel, when I came there early in the morning, and I heard the Koil HaTorah that's present by this Chabura, by the Loin de Torah, I was glued to my spot. I couldn't move. I was in a trance. I saw something unusual, that the whole Beis Medrash from one end to the other, there was such a kol HaTorah. I got so excited, so overwhelmed from it, and it reminded me of a story that I want to share with you. You know, Reb Sholem Shvadran, the Maggid from Yerushalayim, used to say over a story that took place in the early 1960s. He was in Denver, and he says at that time, nobody was learning in the Bati Midrashim. The Bati Midrashim were locked after davening. They weren't open before davening. And he comes into a Beis Medrash in Denver, and he sees one Chavrusa shaf there, sitting and learning a whole first Seder. So he was wondering, what are they doing learning? Who are these people? And he walks over to one of the people, and he asks him, who is he? And he says, I have to tell you, I'm a Ger. I converted to Yiddishkeit. And he told him the story, how he converted. He says he was in the Navy, and the enemy torpedoed his boat. And when the enemy torpedoed his boat, a piece of shrapnel lodged itself next to his brain. And because it lodged itself next to his brain, they couldn't operate. It was dangerous to operate, and he was paralyzed. Now, when he was paralyzed, he couldn't do anything. His mind was clear, but he couldn't do anything. Now, he decided, since he has so much time, he's going to start studying religion. And he started studying one religion after another religion, until he finally came across the Yiddish religion. The more he saw about the Yiddish religion, the more he recognized it's the Emes religion. And he decided to become a convert, to become a ger. And he started learning Torah. And the more he learned Torah, the more he wanted to learn, and he wanted to become a Talmid Chochem. So he decided his life's mission is going to be to learn Torah. All the while that he was an invalid, that he was paralyzed, the Navy was paying for they were paying for all his expenses. But he told something strange happened. When he decided to become a ger, he felt a change taking place in his body, and it felt to him like the sharpnel moved in the body. The next time he came to check himself by the doctor told him, the sharpnel is now away from your brain, and you're not paralyzed anymore. And we're going to give you therapy until you could get back to yourself, and we'll give you a job. And he didn't want to work. So he complained to the Navy, and he said he wants them to pay for him, that he should be doesn't have to go to work. And wherever he went to court, he lost the court. Till finally the court was the admiral's court. And the admiral called him into his office, and the admiral said to him, "Why are you fighting? Why don't you want to go to work? Aren't you happy that you're not anymore paralyzed?" And he says, "Admiral, it's too difficult for me to explain it to you." But the admiral says, "Why don't you try?" And he told him, "I have to tell you, I want to become a Talmid Chacham." When the admiral heard that he wants to be a Talmid Chacham, he said to him, "Did you say a Talmid Chacham? Is that what you said?" He said, "Yeah, that's what I said." He says, "If that's what you want to be, I'm going to support you for my own money. I'm going to make sure that you could sit and learn and become a Talmid Chacham." He was amazed at why should the admiral decide to support him to sit and learn Torah, Goyish admiral. And the Goyish admiral explained to him, and he said to him, "You know what happened when I was taking my submarine? We submerged my submarine in enemy territory, and all the gears were shot, and nothing worked, and we lost contact with the whole world. All our things that we could use to get a contact, nothing was operating, and we were under the water, and we were doomed to die. And it was so difficult. Every day I used to have to get on the boat and try and pick up the spirits of everybody in this boat." But he happened to notice that there was a group of people that were never around, and he didn't know what happened to this group of people. So he decided one day, the curiosity took him over, that he's going to search through the boat to see where these people are. He finally walked to the bottom level of the boat, and he came to a room, and he says when he came by a certain room, he froze in his tracks. And he says, "You know what happened? I heard people singing on this boat." And he said, "I was wondering, how is it possible? You can't imagine. Everybody was looking to die. They were sprawled on the floors. They had no ambition to do anything. They knew they're dying sooner or later. And here he hears a group of people singing." So he knocked on the door, and he says, "By the order of the admiral, open up the door." And they opened up the door, and he saw a group of people learning around different tables. And he says, "What is this? Is this witchcraft? What are you doing here?" He saw these old books, and he saw them learning, and he didn't understand what happened here. So they told him, "This is Torah. And when we have Torah, there's nothing can get our spirits down. We're the happiest people under any situation." And the end of the story was, he said, "I know what Torah is. I understand what Torah really means. Torah, I know, is something that gives you life, and vitality and purpose in direction in life. And the Admiral himself was the one that was supporting this gear to sit and learn. This is the koyach of Torah. You hear the koil HaTorah, the simcha, that permeates the Beis Medrash in Lutsk. And I would think the same as in all the other koilim. Such a simcha HaTorah, such a kiddush Hashem, such a kovod Shemayim. This is what can bring us to Mashiach, this type of learning. And we want to just finish with a Zohar. The Zohar says that the first three Geulas came because of the Ovis. The last Geula, what we're all looking forward to, is going to be B'schus Moshe. And the Or HaChaim HaKodesh writes in Parshas Tetzaveh, the reason why we're not yet Zoicha to the Geula is because Moshe wants everybody to become part of the Torah. And when everybody will learn Torah, then Moshe Rabbeinu will take out Klal Yisrael from Golis. We're almost there. The revival of Torah that we're witnessing. I grew up in America when it was a void America. The shuls were closed, the Bati Midrashim were closed. You couldn't find people learning, and today you can't find a Beis Medrash that they're not learning Torah. There's so much limud HaTorah. Continue to learn Torah and let the koilim continue to grow till finally we'll get to the level of a Mola Oretz Asteyos Hashem, that everybody will learn Torah, and B'Korav we will be Zoicha to be as Mashiach Tzidkeinu B'Mheira V'Yamein.
Oh Größe Schkoe von jeder Appelle, Juda Silberberg, von so schein herrlich singen, als so warm, ungewarmte Herzen. Stehen wir alle zusammen. Beim Käse los zwischen Shishuni und Kippe, everyone. Chaps, another mitzvah, another zechia, liyom adin. Also ich schein, als herrlich als Siyum. Und wir singen ein bisschen zusammen in Ginem. Da können wir nach Benkel und sich heraussetzen. Zwei, bringen an die Oilem, so nehmen Benkel, sich herimsetzen, du schein, singen mit der Ruhigkeit. Kimi roini balaylu, le roish hashmirois. Wir singen alle zusammen. Der Heilige Beschäfer gehört. Wir sind mal ein Mamlich gewesen. A ganzer Shishuna, zum geschrien am Melech. Als die bist der einzigste König. Even though we went through a year full of sorrow, full of pain. Mit dem Allem sucht man Heilige Beschäfer und sind wir mit Kabel Malchus Shemai. Als alles ist Latoive, an die bist der König, der Beure im Manik. Und ins Beten wir nur, Heilige Beschäfer, Zadich Shemegalle. Ins weiß man ins Gleimer, die bist König, aber ins will man sehen, Leroy ist bis Seferes ist Echo. So schon kommen die Zeit, man soll sehen mit eigenen Augen, wie groß, wie riesig du bist, Heilige Beschäfer. Jetzt geht Kimi Yom Kippur, Eizem von dem Tug ist Mechaper, die Heiligkeit von dem Tug ist Mechaper. Kevayoi ma sei Chaper, leich am Dareis, mit Kollel, Gott ist Eichen. לפני השם תתורי אוי אוי ויעל ויעל קהילה ויעל ויעל קהילה אלוהי קאי סליחוי ויעל ויעל קהילה ויעל
Shalom,
Kiddush Hashem b'ziyara. Ad ha'helech etzimim b'sayim givein. Ishchine auf Punem dit b'zei. Asher digala. Oy Yoshinu Yisrael. Der heilige Teure. Nugen wenn uns ist besois a Teure. Und der Feiles in der Neu. Als ik al weet, zie jij wel niet, ik moet uit de jaloeren. Teuren, het kind met de heilige teuren. Hashem, ze voelen zijn bestaan. Kijk, die we zijn geknipt. Ik ben het in dat teuren, ga ik komen met de wiekuba. Lodam liyodam, machileh. Sufas akifton. Salachnu lavoinu v'amazeh. Heilige Waschef, es ist schwer in Asagules. Oi kikaf in Zerere Zäunes, oi belebe bepei. Der Eibisch die Geist und es lach, die Kidurechu, vayoi mer Hashem, sag gewaltige Rachmunes, jeder auf dem Herzen von dir, bei ihm Kind besämmer ist die Kniebe, Malach und mit ihm in den wahrsten Kittel wie am Malach, wie am Suref dit jeder Hitschane in Och mit am Jaskeloi oi Mamisse Immer so mit viel Sakai auch geschwört, der Tafkit von der Welt, immer so der Mann. Heilige Waschef, wenn nur ein Tachlis ist du. Der Mann, ich kenne seine Kind mit euch. Lissanai Galashem, Bachalai, Sofoshu. Nicht lernen in dein heiligen Haus. Heilige Waschef, ich kikiwe. Zahn, bei Joi Mahi. Bechoi Yidna, Labe Chodi, da habe ich dich jetzt auch gedacht. Du musst jetzt suchen, aber es hier Teube, a Teube Meite. Aber es hier du, da in der Welles. Ich hier gekümmert, es ist alle werden, als alles ist Teube. En we zoeken naar veel van de sieren hoe hoog gaat door je bij mij te. Deze beter is, deze zaal en God. De mooie Hashem, de melech alle koret. Oy de mooie Hashem, melech alle איזה יופי. Den Ding aber gemacht. Finde de geweldige woorden, was maar hebben me geleerd. De bijna nacht met mijn feige. Maar Hashem had zich hier. Es gaat er veel. 10 uur was mijn voetje in de schoen af Oman. Aber gemacht, anigen kilo salzet nafshi le shoel, le sitain chasid cholile shuchas. Which this kapitel is de eerste kapitel van Tikkun HaKluli. En we zingen nu, awalde. En we zingen nu kilo salzet nafshi le shoel. No Hashem tituri, der Eibischte reinigt ins Haus. Der Eibischte senkt in sein Herz, in sein Gefühl, in sein Geschrei, wo's mir schreien noch. Der Heilige Hashem vergeht ins nicht verlassen kein Mut. Ich hab ein, das Benai Yisru. Seht in seine Zeugnis, seht in seine Ehrlichkeit, in Azadon, in der Nacht, in Zanam, Besikas Shulai, in Zalechtigon. Vaad, Kilo Isaz, Loi Kilo Isaz, in Alavam, Shir Loi, Loi, We gaan zingen bald Mare, met we zingen Vaar Borgi, de heilige, heilige. Kiyuni Yamecho Yatu Eloikayini Oni Vanecho Yatu Vini Kiyuni Yamecho Yatu Eloikayini Oni Vanecho Yatu Vini Kiyuni Yamecho Yatu Eloikayini Oni Vanecho Yatu Vini Kiyuni Yamecho Yatu Eloikayini Oni Vanecho Yatu Vini
Lulei soiro was khoshashua Ozavaditi biavoni Lulei soiro was khoshashua Ozavaditi biavoni Seiros Choshashuvoy Ozovadeti V'Ohoni Luvulei Seiros Choshashuvoy Ozovadeti V'Ohoni Something that brings joy to the heart. Without it, we'll perish in our affliction. That's why we say, Lulei Soidoscha. To know that it's our essence, to sink into our soul. Ozovadeti That's something that brings joy to the heart. Without it, we'll perish in our affliction. That's why we say, Lulei Soidoscha. To know that it's our essence, for it to sink into our soul. Ozovan the Tewe Yoni. Lule Soiro was Choshan Shua. Ozovan the Tewe Yoni. Lule Soiro was Choshan Shua. Azavadeti biyoni. Olay say rasakha shawa vavashvoy. Azavadeti biyoni. Oy lolay say rasakha shashvoy. Azavadeti the